Hey guys, Pace and I are going live on Instagram to answer some questions, talk about personal brand. Keep watching.
And is the market crashing? What to do if the market is crashing? And is now a good time to be a wholesaler, even if the market does crash?
And where do you buy unicorns?
Yes. Munif is creating a lot of good content right now, and he thinks the brand should be all about him being a closer, right?
Yep.
And so I've been making comments on his Instagram like, bro, we need to see more personal stuff, right? So
yeah, I want to know how he grew that mustache.
he grew a caterpillar in his garden and he stuck it on his lip.
Because he buys that mustache,
Yeah,
right? It's a
to.
stick on?
It's one of those plastic. He took it off to Mr. Potato Head and put it on. But Munif, today, he goes on Instagram and he made a reel of him shaving his head. He's like, here, if you guys want to know how I shave my head, I do it every day. Here's how I use it. Here's that little thing I use. And then I look at the comments, there's a bunch of men that are also shaving their heads. They're like, oh, damn, this is great advice. I actually need that thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So you got to give people insight in who you are, right?
Absolutely. They need to know about, hey, another thing. What's my favorite food?
I could tell you right out of the gate, it's chicken wings first and foremost. If I had to choose a second thing that Jamil could have every day would be a flat white coffee. That's something you could have 100 times and not get sick of.
100 times. Soy, because I like breasts.
What's another thing that you enjoy?
Chris said sausage.
A good ribeye steak.
You're a dick, Chris. Say what?
A good ribeye steak.
Yep.
You love a good ribeye, and he likes his meat cooked medium. No. You like it well done.
I like it medium well, charred. I like that shit burnt.
Yeah. Actually, the charred is really good.
Yeah.
I didn't try it until you. One night we were at Mastro's or something. I go, let's just share a steak because neither of us ever eat our full food.
Yes.
Let's share a steak. And then I'm like, damn, this is actually really good. The charred is very, very good.
Yes. They call it Chicago or Pittsburgh. Chicago and Pittsburgh fight for which city is more charish.
They should call it the Damgee special.
I think so. But what's funny is that people knew there was so many messages there that said it's chicken wings, which has become a part of like who I am to people, right? When we travel around the country, what inevitably happens?
We are knee deep in chicken wings.
Yes, people will come to meet us in a location. We went to that bar in New York City. The first thing that somebody handed to me was a plate of chicken wings.
Wow.
Yui does a meetup. What's the first thing that they have for food? Chicken wings.
Yeah.
Any time that you and I go and do something and they know I'm going to show up, the community is always like, we'll make sure that we got chicken wings for Jamil.
Or you're flying into town and somebody DMs you and goes, go try out this chicken wing spot.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So again, this is a part of my personality that people know about, that people resonate with, that people either like or if you're vegan, live through. But the facts is that by being able to share that, document it, and then let people resonate with that, it builds my personal brand.
Right.
Right? I could also be known for one more thing. What's that?
Being Canadian, Air Force shoes, gold chain.
Genie.
Oh, blue genie all day long.
Yes.
Yeah, blue genie.
Yes, right? So again, just a part of the brand. How do you extend it? So Pace, what would you say would be the 3 most Pace brand? I mean, I already know the one. I know the most, the one. But what would you say those 3 things that symbolize and emblemize what Pace is?
The things that people bring up all the time are creative finance. Obviously, like that's number 1 for me. Is that I wanted to be known as the creative. I didn't want to be known as a great creative finance person. I wanted to be known as the creative finance person, and I feel like I'm there, but I want to just continually dominate that.
Right.
Family man.
Bobby.
And
can I help you? Can you help me?
Bobby, put it up there. And then the third one was maybe be my work ethic. Another one would be the community that I've built, right? These are things that stand out. People are like, you get other influencers that say stuff like, dude, it's scary what these guys are doing. Like what you and I are collectively doing is meshing our communities together and doing things that people in this real estate space haven't done. That's brand, right?
Yep.
Like anyway, that's a whole nother conversation for another day, but I'd say those are the first three.
And so being the creative finance guy, right? Building the most incredible community. You know, these aspects they're huge, and they transcend and they speak way louder than Pace Morby could ever speak. Right? Because a community of thousands of people is going to echo so much farther than one man, no matter how loud you scream.
Yes.
Right? So you've been able to amplify your brand through the mouths, hearts, and actions of thousands of other people. I'm trying to do the same thing with the astro flipping community,
Right.
which makes what you and I do special and different, as you just said. So if somebody was out there right now looking at the beginning of their real estate journey, you know, there's this thought, I'll never be a Pace Morby. I'll never be Steve Trang. I'll never be a Brent Daniels. What's the point of even starting?
I think the challenge is like you start looking at like a Michael Jordan, right? If you saw Michael Jordan in his prime and you said this is the goal to become this person, the Michael Jordan, you'd be like, that's impossible. But if you went back and you saw the beginning of like when basketball was a spark in his heart and he actually couldn't even make a layup, and you watched that organic growth, you would go, oh man, I'm compelled. Like that makes me feel compelled to go and do this because I can do that. Right. So if you understand like where did this actually start for people, where does it start for you? Where does it start for me? I already know the answer. The answer is, do people in your audience believe that you care more about them or care about yourself? And I think where you and I have done really, really well is that we both care about our audience and our community more than we care about ourselves, to the point where we will tirelessly work for them, right? The challenges that we do. I mean, think about the challenge I got coming up in 62 days.
Uprooting your whole family.
Uprooting my whole family, my wife and her sacrifice, and taking our kids out of like swim lessons, dance lessons, soccer, basketball. All of these things, we're uprooting our entire life to sacrifice our energy and put it into somebody else's business and let 10,000 people live stream it simultaneously. And we're doing that for free. So where did that start? It started by one day, I actually saw a guy in our local market. I just saw all his Instagram posts. It was all about him. And I go, you know, this industry's missing is people that are like, I'm in this for you. And so I started doing ride-alongs. I started doing meetups at my office with the whiteboard things. A lot of people reminisce on those times where it's like this dingy old ass office in the middle.
Yeah, you did it all in the hallway.
Did all in a hallway.
Yep.
Didn't even have an auditorium.
I was in that stinky hallway.
Yeah, it sucked. And so it
was awesome.
It elevated, and then the 16-hour live that I did, I had 4 boxes that I put my laptop on. I didn't even have a desk to put it on. I didn't have a fancy camera. It literally was with this old laptop, and I go, I'm just gonna go live for 16 hours. And people remember those things, and they know through your actions whether you care more about them than you care about yourself. And so you and I, this was actually your idea. This is where your heart comes in, as you go, you know how like we're helping all these people in our local area? I feel like there's so many people that really could use our help. Why don't we go travel around the country and just freely meet people at RIAs and teach them and talk about only collaboration? And now what happens is, I'm sure you get tagged on them all the time, but I get tagged on other people's meetups all the time, like weekly. All the time. And that started from you and I spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, not in the very beginning, but it was kind of like phase 2 or phase 3 of how do we elevate this community and how do we elevate. And now we're doing it even higher and higher and higher and higher.
What's funny is that when you and I first started traveling, there was no sub 2 mentorship.
Or Astro. There was Astro, but you weren't.
I wasn't there.
No.
Right? And so think about that. Mm-hmm. We really didn't have anything. We had nothing to sell.
I didn't even know what an affiliate was. I didn't know YouTube would pay you to make a video. We literally were like, let's just go out and selflessly care about people.
And spread the word of working together, because you can gain so much more from doubling down in a community than you ever will trying to be out there as a lone wolf trying to eat.
I'll tell you what we did get from that. Still, you know, today we talked about the deals that we're doing in your business, my business. My business is 80% brand or JV deals, 80%. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing a lot of direct to seller, which we are. It's just that that's automated and we've put it in a very specific vehicle. I could turn off everything at this point and just do brand and still make millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? So what did we really gain from those years of selfish brand? I got private lenders. You got deals all over the country. And then it also allowed you to go, when you guys decided to franchise, you had people that were like, I know Jamil. I met him in Dallas. I met him in Atlanta. I want his franchise in Atlanta. I want his franchise in Florida. And it was because you went out and did the work before you even knew you were going to franchise.
100%.
You just did the work. And so for people that are trying to put brand together, here's my question you have to ask yourself. What can I do for other people in my local geographical area that I could highlight or show people, just even 4 or 5 people in a hallway, in your office, at a Starbucks, in a title company, wherever it may be, and just start documenting it. Throw it up on Instagram Live and start saying, hey guys, I'm here with 5 people. I'm showing them my last 5 failures and what I learned from those 5 failures in a 40-minute dissertation.
Incredible.
You could start, that's not even where we started. I started in a Prius going, who wants to go on appointments with me and see me fail or succeed? I don't care what happens, but you're going to learn something today.
Would it be a good idea for people to sit down and just write a note? Like, these are the 5 things I'm excellent at.
Yeah, or things that I'm excited about, even if I'm not good at them. Like, I get excited about talking to sellers, right? Brent said last night in Wholesale Hotline, he's like, I don't get excited about calling sellers. That's your thing. I go, yeah, great. But I was excited about it even when I wasn't good at it.
Right.
So if you're excited about it, that means you have something in your heart that you can passionately convey to somebody else's heart to get them to get over that. So I would say 5 things you're excited about learning or 5 things that you actually know. You don't have to be an expert on anything, in my opinion, to talk about it. You could talk about the things that you're failing at, right?
And would that be a great place for somebody to start with just their share? Because you don't have to come out of the, and here's the thing I think a lot of people think about when they talk personal brand. They're like, oh, I got to have my logo. They feel that they've got to have Pace Morby sub 2 out the gate.
No.
But that's an evolution.
Big time.
It doesn't happen out the gate. It evolves into that.
I didn't deserve to have a logo until I built a community.
Guys, hear that again. Okay, rewind that part. I didn't deserve to have a logo until I built a community. And it's not even his logo, it's the community's logo, right? And so think of that. All of you guys out there right now thinking about, oh, I'm gonna build my personal brand. What's the first thing you're looking to do? How do I pass this off to a graphic designer to go make me a logo? How do I name it?
Yeah.
Guys, you are the brand, right? That's why it says personal brand. It's not about that, right? It's about you being the person that says, okay, how do I elevate myself? How do I become so loud that I'm recognizable? How do you become an Ingrid? How do you become a Munif? Mm-hmm. How do you become a Michelle, a Paul, a Brittany? How do you do these things? A Dan Quijano? How do you become these people? It's by elevating, sharing, and being yourself truly all the time.
I think
you build, and then you build a character.
Yeah, the thing that we have as an advantage in the last 20 years is that the brands that used to exist 20 years ago were all the slick people, right? They were the people that were only on stage, only on TV, only on whatever. But with the advent of social media, what's happened is the teeter-totter, the balance has actually gone the other way, which people appreciate transparency and authenticity more than anything else. And they also help people, the world loves go-givers. And so what I see is these rooms that you and I are part of, masterminds, and we'll go to another mastermind, we'll go to another mastermind. The people who kind of rise with brand are the people who are natural go-givers.
Right.
And they're less fearful of sharing everything. And that what happens is the world that we live in right now honors that, and they reward that. And so if you guys have any go-giverness in your heart, I would say give it all away. Give it all away. Speaking of talking about, giving things away, your student who you just helped on a phone call, it's like, why are they not documenting their business and sharing that with the world?
I think right now, what's probably happening is they're a little bit embarrassed at where the position they're in.
The more embarrassed you are, the stronger.
The better it is.
The better it is. In fact, your YouTube title should say, I effed up. You're going to get more people that resonate with that than the thing is like, look at this deal. Like you and I are about to go do a YouTube video out at a $15 million acquisition just right down the road, a 53-unit multifamily. And the reality is the audience doesn't resonate with that as much as they resonate with like, how did I generate a lead? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is more inspirational, but there's more resonance here. There's more, like people can resonate with this more because the wide variety of people haven't hit the level of $15 million acquisitions yet.
Right.
In fact, if you told me that the week I started in real estate, that one day I'd be having a conversation with this handsome brown man in his kitchen about a $15 million acquisition, I'd be like, what movie are you pulling this plot out of? This doesn't make any sense. So when you are going through the crap in your business, that's when you should be doubling down on talking about it, and that's where your brand gets built.
Amazing. So we learn, right? First and foremost, what skills do you have that you can give? Be a go-giver, right? Share with people. Do it selflessly. Do it in a way without any expectation of a reward, and document that, right? I think that's the core of being able to build personal brand. What's the next step? Because again, you could have all those things, but having the courage to document, having the courage to turn the camera on, that's a difficult, for me, it was one of the hardest things to do. And it wasn't until you came into my life and forced me by putting me in your stories all the time, and then me resharing those stories, that I got comfortable actually communicating and being projected out into the public. So how would you address that for people? Because I'm sure there's, maybe 100 and 150 people on Instagram right now. I don't know how many are watching, but I'd say at least 80% of them have some form of shyness that they have to overcome.
The easy thing for me is I always do thing with a pack of other people. I've never done anything by myself. Like if you go back in all my successes, it's always been with other people. Even competitors, like you and I are competitors. Yeah, we JV on deals from time to time, but we run our businesses separately, right? We have no bleed over. And so for me, even in the very beginning, I chose 20 people I admired in my local market, even people that their brand was 10 times stronger than or at the point I didn't even have a brand. Brent Daniels being one of them, you being one of them, okay? And Instagram allowed me to tag 20 people at a time back then. Now they only allow you to tag 10 people. But I chose 20 people, and for a year, this is the other part people don't understand, is that this doesn't happen over 30 days or 2 weeks, or I posted on my stories today, I'll skip a week, then I'll do my stories, and then I'll skip a week. You can't do that.
Doesn't work.
You have to do it every day, and you have to plan on not seeing any real results until a year later. Here's what happens. So I tag people, I tagged you. So like I probably tagged you a good 100 times before it really started sinking in that I was tagging you a lot. And so I would tag Jesse Burrell, Annie Dragonova, Evo, Brent Daniels. I would tag other people in our local market that I respected. Then I started tagging like Max Maxwell. Never worked for me in Max Maxwell. But when Max Maxwell heard about me, there was a thing in his brain of like, oh, I know who that guy is. He tags me on Instagram all the freaking time. So it allowed me to get into the rooms that I needed to be in. But it, like the Annie, the Evo, the Jessies, and the Brent Daniels, when I ended up joining TTP years and years ago, Brent, I came through his program and I paid my fee, Brent was like, why is this guy's joining my mentorship? Right? Like, because I had been getting his attention far beyond that. And so what I would tell you guys to do is like, who do you want to collaborate with in the future? Tag them on all your stuff relentlessly, to the point where you have they have no choice but to hang out with you.
Yep.
And be annoying.
Yep.
Like, dude, this guy's tagging me. Sooner or later, they're going to start DMing you. And then you guys become friends, and next thing you know, you're collaborating.
Even if it's to say, stop tagging me.
Yeah.
Even if it's to say that. But either way, I mean, no one's really mean out there. No one's out there trying to like rain on your parade or not let you feel good or not let you have a voice. I mean, everybody who came out of the gate swinging, everybody started with nothing.
Yeah.
And understand that there were people who pushed them along and people that helped them along. And so there is a commonality amongst people that you'll find with success is their willingness to help is typically there.
Well, here's a question for you. So in terms of personal branding, right? Like you started with no posts.
Yep.
Right? I was there. I know.
No posts.
I know I was there. Yep. I have proof. My memory is proof that this was real. Okay, the guy didn't have a TV show, didn't have any Instagram, Facebook group, podcast, YouTube channel. Literally, I was there when you had nothing. In fact, it took him 2 weeks to reply to my DM, okay? And I couldn't get your phone number because the people in town were like, no, he's in a cave. He's in a cave. You have to go through a 10 password handshake situation. You have to be thoroughly inspected.
And now that I think about it, it was very brilliant for me to make myself that guy. And I would tell everybody, hey, don't tell anybody my name.
Oh yeah.
That was the tagline that I left everybody with. I said, I want to do business with you, just don't tell anybody my name. And then all they did was tell people my name.
Ironically, that was a great way to brand yourself, because it got a guy like me go, I'm gonna freaking find this guy 10 times harder than I found these other people, right? So I was there, and now things have changed, right? You've got these things, you've got what most people would aspire to say, I want a personal brand like Jamil's. But I know that's not the end for you, right? You've got Bobby Two Hands, who I feel like is the best in the business. We've got a team around us. You got Emily. I've got a team that might as well be your team. Where is your personal brand? Where do you sit and strategize of like, where do I want to go next? What do I want to do better? What do I want to improve? What do I feel like my team needs to do here or there? Because people need to know, like, this is not a freaking destination you hit and you're done. There's a journey that is constantly improving. So is there anything off the top of your head that your personal brand either needs to improve or you're going to add at some point in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I think for me, with my personal brand, I want to, and I think just with building Astro Flipping, I took a breath from Keighley, took a breath from really promoting it and really being a part of its growth and franchise development and whatnot. And so I really see completing our franchise offering and having the 660 units that we have in our FDD established is really where I want to hit next. And so for me, personal brand and really enmeshing myself with Keighley more and Astro, both together because they feed each other so well. But for me, that's where it is, right? I see me elevating the brand, elevating my personal brand, elevating Keighley to the point where we hit that 660 franchise unit number, and we're able to bless the business model in every market that you could possibly want to have a Keighley in.
I like that. I think also one thing I've harped on you in the past for is that you have, like, I broke this down on a YouTube video recently, the reasons why people are in real estate, right? And I'm like, okay, cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, leverage. But at a certain point, it becomes about story. Like, I buy properties, I do real estate because I'm trying to obtain a story that I can turn around and tell, right? So really the story is something you have to amplify. And here's what I mean specifically about that. Your people did 66 deals in Keighley last month.
Right. I didn't talk about a single one of them.
You have 66 stories you should be telling. In my opinion, you could almost hire a full-time storyteller for your brand that's like, they don't even have to have it's not their face. They could just go, let's talk about where the deal came from, who it sold to, not who it sold to, but like, how long did it take to sell, this, that, and the other. And you document, and then you pick out 3 or 4 that you go, oh my gosh, here's one where the tenant hadn't paid for 20 years. Here's what we did along those lines, because then it highlights what your services are, and then it also tells people problems that you can solve for them by doing deals with you. You have 66 opportunities of stories in your business that you didn't tell one of them last month.
Right.
And I've been talking to you about this because I go into your office, well-oiled machine, and you see deals, I see stories. And I'm like, that's a story, that's a story, that's a story, that's a story. You got Ronald, you got other people. I almost feel like you should take Ronald and be like, Ronald, we're gonna do 1 YouTube video a month with you, and you're gonna talk about the craziest thing that happened this month inside of your office, or the biggest check you made, or the biggest whatever, because then it highlights the opportunities that people have to work with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be an amplification of like telling more stories of what you guys are up to.
That's great. I have to do that. You're right. And irresponsible of me not to share those 66 opportunities, right? Because there's more wholesalers to help, there's more agents to help, there's more sellers to help, there's more deals to do, there's more money to be made. And
Well,
so,
you know, when you're on a podcast or you and I are on stage and somebody says something like, what is Keegley? What does Keegley do? I'm like, he has 66 stories that he could have told this month that would have solved that problem, to the point where almost people should be telling your story for you. Right? And so I think you guys will get to that point. But then there's another question. The other question is, how do I determine on a daily basis what I should focus on? Because I could give you 10 more ideas that you go, oh yeah, I thought about that 6 months ago. And what is it that you haven't done it because you're lazy?
no.
I know you're not lazy. I'm around you. You're one of the hardest working people I know. You wake up early. You're on your stuff. You're super organized. You're super punctual. You care more than anybody I've ever collaborated with. So why is it that you can't get to those things? Is it an unrealistic expectation? Is it that you have other priorities? Give the people permission that they don't have to do everything all at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What do you think is the thing? Is it all of those things and more?
No, I think priorities right now, you know, we've been really focused on making a great television show, and the hours that we keep with that are a little bit challenging. And so really trying to navigate that moving forward, I think will be allow me to do more of it. You know, it would be so great because you and I have to be on set at 7:30 a.m. 5 out of 7 days every week. How cool would it be for me to be able to step into my office every morning before I had to go to set
Oh my gosh.
and see my team?
You can't, I haven't been able to do that since a year ago.
Yeah, that's disappointing, right? And it disconnects me from my team. So for me, why I haven't been telling those stories is I don't feel entitled to.
Interesting. Damn, that's really insightful.
Right? Because when I'm involved, I feel entitled to tell the story. See, right now all I do is get to cash the check, but I don't feel entitled to the story because it's wasn't a part of my journey with them, right? Even if I'm there to be able to help them comp, even if I'm there to be able to put a second eye on it, even if I'm there to slap a hand and congratulate an effective deal, that involves me. And if I have involvement in it, then I feel entitled to be able to tell a story.
I like that. Okay, so here, we're talking about 66 deals in a month. I've never done 66 deals in a month, and I can tell you I never will do 66 deals in a month. It's not my business model. I love it, and I admire it, and I look at that, and I'm like, holy moly. I know other franchisees that you guys have. Like, some of my favorite investors in the nation are your guys' franchisees. Like, I love Chris Campbell. I love Jim Willis in the Carolinas. I love so many of your people. 66 deals is a lot of deals for people to even comprehend. So let's talk about, if I'm a brand new wholesaler, how is this market shift happening right now going to affect my ability to wholesale?
Oh my God, it's going to amplify it. A market shift is interesting because it creates pressure.
Pressure on who?
Well, that's what we need to determine, right? So looking at the current cycle of the market, we've got high prices, which creates pressure on buyers because buyers don't have the income or don't have the ability to qualify, okay? What they've been doing is they've been coming in with larger down payments. They've been squatting up, getting married, doing the things, buying together, buying with two roommates, whatever that looks like. They've been pairing up to make purchases. And so they've found creative ways to be able to participate. Now, with the interest rate hikes and the heightened price points, okay, we've got pressure. Now that pressure is going to need to manifest somewhere, and where it's manifesting right now is on sellers. Because the market that we walked into 90 days ago is not the market that we have today.
No.
Okay, so wholesalers, if you've been able to survive the last 12 months and make money in wholesale, you are in for a treat. Because it's been really difficult the last 12 months to get your hands on a deal.
Yeah.
When you hear on the news every other day, 500,000 over list, bidding war, multiple offers, no houses, inventory crunch, all the things. When you hear that every single day and you're a wholesaler trying to go buy a house at 70 cents on the dollar, how are you going to have that conversation in any meaningful way when someone's going to say to you that there's so many competitors to your solution? So get out of my house, wholesaler. I'm going to go call Open Door. I'm going to go try an MLS listing, or I'm going to do these multiple things. Right now, because we are going to, guys, if you've been having conversations with agents in the last week, the tone has changed. Real estate agents are noticing it dramatically, because their sellers are getting worried. The sellers are saying reduce, reduce, reduce. They're now getting more open to the reality of where the market and where pricing should be. So if you're a wholesaler and you've been having a hard time getting deals under contract, now will be the best time for you. Why? Sellers who were sitting on the fence, they better make and take action, because they're not going to get a better price than what they're going to get today. We will start to see a flattening in pricing, possibly a small dip. There's no crash coming, guys, but you might see a small dip. That's normal for rates and for hikes in interest rate. But sellers are going to start adjusting. And so that means that you can get out there and get better deals. The other thing that I think is going to happen is that as wholesalers become more liquid, as the wholesalers become more available to working with real estate agents and more educated with their numbers, they're going to be able to buy deeper, right? Mm-hmm. And so you weren't even able to have conversations before. Now you're going to not only have the conversation, but you're going to have the conversation on your terms.
Yeah, when I started, that's how it was. When I started, 7 years ago or so, the market was not like it is today.
No, it was flat.
It was flat, and so the sellers were open, right? And it took them 30 to 40 days to sell a house, right? That was normal. And on a fix and flip, you and I both fix and flip, if your house didn't get an offer in your first 2 weeks, you weren't worried.
No.
Like, that's just how it is.
Takes 90 days.
Right. I'll get an offer and a close or an open contract in 30 days, and it'll take another 60 days to close that deal. It'll take 90 days.
Yep.
Now it's like if you don't get an offer, at least it was 6 months ago, if you don't get an offer on day one, there's something wrong.
Right.
We're going back to that flat market where now sellers lose one thing. They lose their confidence.
That's it.
And so when
agents do too.
And agents do too. And now the agents who have been coaching their sellers for the last 2 years, let's list super high because worst case scenario, we drop it a couple grand and we sell it the next day. That conversation is going to put a lot of agents into some pain. Agents want to avoid that pain. So they're going to coach their sellers and say, look, market's softening. We're going to
price right. We want to make sure that we don't sit on the market too long and get stale.
And also if you get a buyer that comes in that hasn't locked in their rate, and we get into an escrow, the deal could blow up because the interest rates are going to continue to rise throughout the rest of this year, or at least the rest of the summer. And so you might get a buyer that comes in and they lose their financing because now that payment goes up $300.
Right.
And so agents are going to say stuff like, we need to go fast and fast and fast.
And we need cash.
And the agents, millions of agents are going to coach the sellers nationwide for opportunities for wholesalers and real estate investors to come in and say, yo. And it hasn't been like that for the last 2 years. So
it is not.
The thing that's interesting is there are 174,000 wholesale transactions happening every single month in the United States. Every single month.
174,000.
Between off market, like deed transfers, and also because a lot of times people will go without a title company, they'll do deed transfers and whatever else, cash deals, right? Tabletop closings, as they're known for, and then also wholesale fix and flip transactions that are happening outside of real estate agents. 174,000 are happening every single month, which is massive. Okay, massive, massive, massive. Brent and I came up with that data, which is great. So if you've been able to crush it in wholesale for the last 2 years, you're saying that my opportunity is going to amplify over the next year.
Big time, because you literally lived through one of the hardest times for wholesalers known to our business model.
At least in the last 20 years.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's an incredible time for you. Here's the skills you're going to need to know, okay? Know how to underwrite, because as the market turns, your comps and how you comp are going to be really important. Second, understand your numbers, understand cash flow, understand interest rates, understand what that does, right? Understand all of the pressures that we've had with supply chain issues and with inflation, and how you can have intelligent conversations with agents and homeowners about where your offer needs to be and why it needs to be there, and the market conditions that are currently presenting themselves that justify your number.
Yeah.
Right? This is where a wholesaler can get fat right now. So guys, if you haven't decided to double down in your wholesale business, if you haven't decided to double down in creative finance, learning how to take over these 2.5% mortgages, I'm telling you, one of the biggest regrets I've had in the last year was not taking subject to homes over at 2%, 3%, or 0% owner finance, because now I finally understand the power of amortization and just how much money gets lost in interest when you're doing regular transactions with a bank. You know,
wholesale for me, wholesale is a great way to make a really amazing living, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of people I think we're all wired and educated from the news and our 9-to-5 jobs and our parents and our grandparents to worry about one main thing, retirement.
Yep.
Everybody's like, how am I going to retire? How am I going to have enough money? Like once I stop working, or how can I quit my job and work on my passion projects? I mean, retirement could be a bunch of things. It doesn't mean to stop working. It means you're retiring from your 9-to-5 job.
You're retiring from doing shit for other people.
There you go. And I'll die of a heart attack from working my guts out because I love working. It's not that I don't love working. It's that I don't want to work for a prison. Like I'm locked into a 9-to-5. So I look at that and I say, you've got to be stacking, not as many as I do, but you really only need about 5 properties as rentals or Airbnbs to truly retire at the dollar amount that everybody is shooting for, right? Most people are like, how do I retire with about $2 million? That's 5 $400,000 houses that you buy today, they pay off. When you're retired, it's worth $2 million. That's your retirement. Like you don't need a 401k, a Roth IRA. You don't need any of these like, oh, I'm gonna go buy this, dividend stock, I'm gonna go buy this. All of those things are great, but really you only need 5 properties to be like, I'm done. Now, no matter what I do with my active income and my passion projects, as long as those cover the bills, my retirement is set. Like it's set. So the 2% and the 0% and all of these things that we've been acquiring in the creative finance world, it's like the retirement of our company is like a couple $100 million.
Right.
You want to become worth that, and you want to change some lives. Like that's a powerful thing. So I think creative finance, obviously I've done well in it even through the crazy high price times. But as the market turns, what's happening now is that same thing with us. Agents are saying their sellers wanted $500,000 for a house. Now the market's softened, and they're not getting offers at that. They're getting offers at $450,000. Now the agents are coming back to us and going, hey, we said we weren't open to seller finance.
We might be now.
Can you submit an offer?
Yep.
Right, I've got a 12-unit deal I'm working right now, a multifamily deal. Same thing. We offered the seller something 6 months ago. They didn't sell it because the market started interest rates. And now they're coming back to us and saying, hey, what does that look like? And that's a big sign, dude.
Big time. I'm really excited for the next 24 months. I think for wholesale, I think for astro flipping, I think for sub 2, I think for our communities, they are going to explode. They're going to explode. Their successes are going to continue to compound, continue to grow. The community is going to continue to compound, continue to grow. And with that, guys, our brands are going to continue to grow. And what you're going to see is an overtaking of the industry. I don't want you to miss out on that, right? So how do you think people should start getting involved? How can people...
I was just going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Okay, what if our lives are nothing more than skill stacking.
Correct.
Right? Everything we're doing,
it's a compound effect all the time.
Compound effect, right? Even I was talking to Ryan, who does a lot of our edits on our team, and he's just like, you know what I love? I love just learning new things and adding them to me and like bolting them on, and you become this more powerful character and powerful version of yourself. It's the same thing with us. So how do people get involved? I would say, what are the top 3 skills that you would go and work on? Doesn't mean master, but you would work on right now, okay? I already know my number 1, comping.
Yeah, underwrite.
If you can't comp and look at a deal, okay, I could send you 100 opportunities and you don't know if it's a deal, what the exit strategy is. So I would learn how to do that. How do you do that? Is you practice. And the way you practice, get very granular. I'd go to Keegley.com, I'd look at your inventory, I'd look at other wholesalers' inventory, and I would say, if I'm gonna look at this from a fix and flip standpoint, if I bought this at the price they are offering at, could I fix and flip this and make profit?
Right.
That's how you practice.
Yep.
And you'll go look at 100 of those, and after 100 you go, holy crap, I can actually kind of say yes or no here.
Right.
Right, so comping, for me, I would absolutely learn how to obtain properties, because for us, our method has always been 5 wholesale, 1 door goes in our portfolio. 5 wholesale, 1 door goes in the portfolio. And what will happen is after 2 years of wholesaling, people go, I don't have any assets and I'm paying a lot of money in taxes. So I would learn how to acquire property. And the third one, this is one that you're not doing as much as I am, but raise capital. Right? Pooling, you did it, right? You just did it for this multifamily deal, is you have somebody brings you a big multifamily deal and you made 1 phone call and you and I put our money together. You raised money. So raising money and bringing in partners to go acquire bigger things, I think that those would be the first 3 things I would ever learn of, like, what does raising money mean? Doesn't mean I would go do it. I would just understand that when a deal and an opportunity comes to me, I go, I don't have any money. You know how many times I've said that to myself? Like, I don't have the money to buy this. Now that I understand raising capital and capital structures, it's like, you and I run into a deal the other day, and it's $300,000 to basically close on it and renovate it. And we made 1 phone call, somebody else funds their money. Being able to have a network of raising capital is massive. So if I could go back and learn those 3 skills faster, it would have been comping. Notice I didn't say talking to sellers. Interesting, right? Talking to sellers is probably number 10 on my list. Legit, even though I love it and it for a long time was part of my brand, still is. Comping is number 1. What would you say would be your top 3 skills you would stack?
I think, again, underwriting, comping, still my
but
favorite.
Why is that so important?
Same reasons. You got to be able to spot a deal. You need to know there's an opportunity.
Where do you practice? Like, do you do what I said, or are there other places? You go to Zillow? What would you do?
You
if
could
you
go
had
to Zillow. For me, what I would like to do is I'd like to actually test the efficacy of other wholesalers' deals, right? So I'd like sign up, go into the wholesaler Facebook groups like Wholesale Hotline or Superhuman Wholesalers or Wholesaling Houses Full Time or Wholesaling Houses Elite. Go connect with other wholesalers, go join their mailing list, go get their inventory and look at the address, look at what ARV they're saying, and then see if there's actually a deal there. If your ARV is off, call the wholesaler and say, hey, I'm looking at your deal, I'm trying to learn and I want to understand how you got to the number. What comp did you use? Don't be rude, don't say you're wrong. Like, I really would want to know what you use, right? Learn the appraisal rules. Guys, if you don't know the appraisal rules, I give that document away. It's in my link tree. Learn the appraisal rules. So yes, absolutely. For me, how I would test it would be other wholesalers' deals. I would go through the library of Straight Outta Compton videos that I have on YouTube. I'd watch every one of those episodes. I'd look at every one of those addresses and I would see what ARV I came to, and I would test if you come to the same ARV or not.
So I had a student that did this on your Sunday lives for like 2-3 months. All they did is they go, I want to see if I'm faster than Jamil at comping properties. That was their main goal. And then I learned this magical thing. People who say, I've been trying to get into real estate for a year, 6 months, 3 months, 2 years, whatever it is, I go, well, at least you've learned how to comp really well, even though you've never done a deal, right? What do they say?
No.
Well, okay, so you don't even know how to comp. You haven't stacked 1 skill.
Right.
I would say that the value of actually learning how to comp is better than getting your first deal done. I know that's crazy.
I think it's real.
But you being able to determine whether a deal is a good deal or not, you can put yourself anywhere on planet Earth. Jump into a wholesale hotline, or not wholesale hotline, but a wholesale Facebook group like you mentioned, and go, I know how to spot a deal. And I know when a deal is not a good deal, and when it's not a good deal, I know what to say to the wholesaler who hasn't. Says, hey, I know you have this marketed at 300, I'd be good at 270. Let me know if you can't sell it, I'm a good backup for you at 270. You're at least engaging with every single deal. There's absolutely 0 possible way that if you know how to comp a property, you can't get a deal done.
Totally agree.
And so stack that skill, guys. That's the number 1 thing. On top of both of our lists, stack the skill of learning how to comp. You'll never go hungry a day in your life.
Nope.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Ingrid,
6 inches.
Ingrid.
Wait, that's not the right. Okay, different question.
I've had more other wholesalers reach out to me about agents wanting to work with them, and if it's an off-market deal, how do you compensate that agent?
That's a
great
question.
Great question.
Reiterate the question for everybody, because you're mic'd and he's not mic'd.
So Ingrid asked the question, hey, I get wholesalers that reach out to me and they want to know, how do agents get compensated if they work a wholesale deal? So really interesting question, and really straightforward way that they get compensated. If the agent is working an already contracted deal, so say that agent has gotten a deal from a wholesaler, now they're trying to sell that deal to another buyer, what that agent needs to do is add their commission on top of that price. Typically, wholesalers aren't adding or padding their prices with 3% agent commissions included in their assignment fees, right? So you're always gonna want to add that on top of the price. Now, you can call the wholesaler and ask the wholesaler if there's room to fit you in, and oftentimes we'll have agents that call us and ask, and if there is, we will work with them, right? But don't assume that you're gonna get paid a standard realtor commission on a wholesale deal, because that's not how those deals are marketed. They're typically net deals. Now, if you're a wholesaler and you're working with an agent who's bringing you an opportunity, right? Here's another question that I get a ton of. How does the agent get paid when they're putting a deal together between a homeowner and a wholesaler? Just like an agent wouldn't get paid any other time. A regular commission instruction from the seller, right? Guys, in every real estate transaction, or at least 99.9% of the real estate transactions I've been involved in, the seller always pays the real estate commissions. That's standard. It's typically 6%. And so if a agent is bringing you an opportunity that hasn't been listed yet, but it's still an opportunity, even if there's agency or no agency in there, that agent should be having the conversation with the seller to say, Mike, you'll be paying my commission. Now, if the seller is saying, no, I'm not going to pay any commissions, now, but the realtor has a connection with that seller, and the realtor is going to bring you that opportunity, then it's your responsibility as the wholesaler to communicate with the agent as to how much they're going to get paid, whether you're going to split assignment fees or not. So the beauty of being a real estate agent is you can get paid any way you want, because you're licensed and you can get paid commissions anywhere.
Or an assignment.
Or an assignment as the principal in the deal. So key here, guys, communicate. Ask the question. If it's vague to you, ask it. Don't be that person that says, you know what, I'm not going to bring it up. Because come closing day and when the agent doesn't get their check, that's not a good look. Make sense? Yep.
Any other questions?
It's
Love me some Ingrid. She's great.
I love me Ingrid too.
Yeah, she's great.
Ezra says, isn't it possible for the ARV and comps to be different now than they were then, when you were talking about comparing to previous episodes?
Yeah, it still doesn't change the skill set,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't change the skill set. Yes, ARVs right now, actually ARVs haven't moved. It's not like we are having price declines, guys. Like that, let's not overshoot here. The prices haven't dropped. So your ARVs will still be the same. Could they drop in the next little while? Yes. Okay, but they haven't yet. They could drop, but they haven't yet. So I think still the old episodes are relevant.
Well, I mean, you guys are seeing thumbnails on YouTube. There's very salacious YouTubers, and I understand why they do it, and I'm not knocking them, but it is what it is. They're being salacious, which means they're intentionally marketing to you to get you to click on their stuff. They're saying, oh no, it's happened. The biggest crash of all time has already started. And then when they get into the actual data, you find out prices are not declining. It's that offers are slowing down a little bit, and sellers are having to be gut checked. When they should have listed the property for $550, they list it for $625, and they go, all right, fine, I'll sell it for $580, which is still 30 grand over retail. Houses are still selling over retail.
They still are.
Yes.
Yep. They're just at lower volumes.
Right.
At lower volumes.
Which is good. You've weeded out a lot of the buyers because of the interest rates.
There's a video of Patrick Bet-David saying, if you're a normal person and you're considering buying a house, wait 12 to 18 months and then do it.
I disagree with that entirely.
I don't think inventory is going to balloon by any means.
So here's the challenge. You have to look at who you're talking to, right? So I spent 2 hours the other day listening to Dave Ramsey. You know Dave Ramsey?
Yep.
And I'm listening to him and I go, this is the greatest advice for anyone but me. Dave Ramsey's advice is horrible for me. I'll never have a 401k. I'll never look at how do I become a millionaire. His average millionaire in his program becomes a millionaire in 15 years. Okay? In my mind, in real estate. And then also he talks a lot about, well, I became a millionaire. How did Dave become a millionaire first? He lost it all. How did he become a millionaire? Do you know?
No.
Real estate. He became a millionaire in real estate. He had $6 million in real estate. He only owed $5 million on. He became a millionaire at age 26. Why did he lose it all? He lost it because he bought variable interest rate loans that were also hard money. They weren't even paying down his mortgage principal.
Right.
So what happened is when a market decline happened, his payments went up, his cash flow went down. He couldn't afford them.
Yep. Same reason why I lost everything
Right.
in 2008.
Right. So the thing is, you've got to take the appropriate advice and give it to some people. So I'm sitting there listening to Dave Ramsey talk about just do 401k, just do this, work at your job for 15 years. Bro, could you imagine sitting in a cubicle and working in a cubicle job?
No.
It's horrible advice for you.
Yeah.
All three of you guys right here. It's us five. There's no way that advice makes sense for us. However, Patrick Bet David, when he says wait 12 to 18 months and then buy a house, bro, I would rather, let me ask you a question. Have you made more money 18 months ago? Were you making less money or more money than you are right now?
Less.
Okay, that's what you should focus on. Focus on how to add a skill set to yourself
and make more money.
To make more money. Buy the house now. Buy the effing house now. And if interest rates dip tremendously in 18 months, then refinance the freaking house. But the thing you should be spending your time and energy on is stacking skills. Are you making more money than you did 18 months ago?
Absolutely.
Are you making more money than you were 18 months ago? Like dramatically, right? Me too, me and you too. So if the advice for somebody in our mindset is, I'd rather learn new shit and make more money, then why wait to buy a house?
If you're buying a deal that's listed on the MLS with an agent, that was good. If you're buying a deal that's listed on the MLS with an agent, what if they don't have an assignment clause in the contract that allows you to market the deal?
It doesn't need to have an assignment clause within the contract. If you have your buyer name as and/or designated entity or and/or assignee, then you've added the assignment clause to the contract. So just always put in as your buyer name and/or designated entity, and now you have stated that you plan to designate another entity.
All right. Ingrid says, I think a 3% correction is a good conservative point of view on ARV, in my opinion.
I think she's got valid reasons to think that. And it's possible, quite possible.
I think we're definitely gonna have a softening, and that's perfectly fine, which is great. It gives the sellers a gut check, but the reality is it comes back to one metric. And Dave, who is on the Bigger Pocket show with you, talks about this all the time. He's like, look, the number one metric I'm gonna be looking at is inventory. And there is no inventory. Still. Comparatively. And a healthy market in Phoenix or Maricopa County is like 19.
3 months.
Yeah, 19,000 homes on the market. Right now we have something like 7,000. So you have about a third of what we should have.
We were in a hot market when we were at 12.
I remember. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're at like 7 or 6 or whatever it is now. I don't know what we have. Ingrid, pull this up on, we should call my wife and ask her. What percentage of, ask Ingrid this, how many homes are currently listed on the MLS right now in Maricopa County? What's the active amount of homes? And that'll tell you like where we're at. And we should be at 19,000. I bet you we're not even a third of that.
I don't know how.
Let's call this sexy woman of mine.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Hi, baby.
Hey, mama. How many houses are listed on the MLS right now? Just got take a guess.
Yours too.
No. Not
In Maricopa County.
10,000.
10,000. And what's a healthy market? Like 19,000?
It should be around 15. 15 would be nice. It's getting way better.
Oh, it is. So what have you seen in the last 30 days?
That jumped
More
3,000.
inventory, less activity, less craziness, softening to the max, and it just all happened in like the last week or two.
Ingrid said 4,292.
Ingrid says 4,992.
Active?
Active, yeah.
I don't know if they're active.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. Why are you calling me then?
Well, I didn't have Ingrid. Okay, last time. Well, maybe Ingrid's talking about how many houses.
Active and coming soon rentals. She's including coming soon rentals.
Oh, she's including coming soon. Got it. Love you. Thank you, baby.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So
Still dramatically low.
yeah, that's interesting because she represents. She lists our properties, right?
Yep.
So she sees what's happening. And 6 months ago, we were like, "What's the house worth? 500? Great, list it for 550." Right? We were being crazy, and people were still paying.
6 months ago, we were like, what's the house worth? 500? Great, listen for 9. No, I'm joking. But it was like some of that shit happened.
It's not that big of a dramatic stretch. Is that there were things that, like there was a house on the show.
Yep.
What was it? Port-au-Prince.
Yes.
What was Port-au-Prince you thought was like 5?
We thought it was maybe a 400 sale, and what did it go up to? 550 or something like that?
Almost 600.
Yep.
It was like 587.
How do you have the talk with agent about their fees if the seller does not pay them? Is that redundant? Did you guys already?
No, we can go it over again. How do you have the conversation if the seller doesn't pay them? Say, okay, great.
This is, can I answer this and then you'll give them the real answer? Jamil's answered this. Your answer was to have a conversation with them.
Yep.
And anytime, let me ask you a question. Bobby, when you take a girl on a date, is there a script that you use that's like works every time?
No.
You're not writing down the script on your hand?
No.
You're not going on somebody's YouTube video and downloading a script on how to go on the perfect date?
No.
Then why do people expect a perfect script when talking to an agent?
That's a good point.
It's a human being to another human being, and if you don't pick up the phone, you're going to fail.
And ask the question. Why are we scared to ask the question? Hey, so the seller is refusing to pay you a commission. So if we do this deal, you're going to need to get compensated. I want to be able to compensate you. How do we plan to do that? Do you want me to pay you a commission? Great. This is how I plan to pay it. I'm going to assign this deal, hopefully make some money, and I'll give you half of that. Or whatever that conversation is, you need to have that with the agent so that the agent knows where the money's coming from and how that money's going to get generated.
I usually use a third-party story in everything that I do. So I would say something like, usually I do this. Would that work for you? Yeah. Because then there's less ability for them to argue that, oh, other agents are doing that? Great, I'll just go that route, right? That's human nature. And so if you're calling an agent, you go, look, I've got an agent, her name's Monique. This is the way we structure it. Are you okay with that? And so if you're one of Jamil's students, just take that story of Monique, even if you've never done a deal with Monique, use that third-party story to go, this is how we do it in our company.
That's what I was just going to ask. If you're new.
Yeah, leverage. That's the reason you have a mentor is you leverage your mentor's credibility. Your mentor gives you the stories and the tools to take your learning curve of 10 years down to 1 year by giving you the tools and resources that you didn't have when you started.
Correct.
Here's a good one. David Delahunty. When determining your MAO, which I don't even know.
Maximum allowable offer.
Okay, what is your typical formula that you use? With more people looking for deals, has the formula changed in the past few months?
This is an interesting one because I don't love this question because it is kind of the same thing. It's like you're not talking to buyers. You don't know what buyers are willing to pay.
Yep.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, well, a house is worth 500 grand ARV. Zillow says it's worth 500 grand, whatever it is. I comped it. I know that if they fix it, they renovate it, there's similar houses on the same street with the same floor plan that are selling for 500 grand. So what's my formula to give them an offer?
Right.
70% would say I'm offering 350 grand.
Excuse me.
Okay, so that's what MAO means is like,
What's my maximum allowable offer?
right, so I know as a wholesaler, I can only pay 350 grand for that. Okay, so here's a challenge with the MAO. 3 days ago, somebody comes into Sunday service and they go, I've got this crazy good deal, 650 ARV. I use the 70% rule and I go, great. And then I break down the numbers. I go, what's your cost of acquisition? He goes, what do you mean cost of acquisition? It's $490. I go, that's not the cost of acquisition. That's the price of acquisition. How are you getting the money? He goes, I don't know. I go, so your fix and flipper is going to borrow that money. And they're going to have to close escrow at $490, which means $10,000 in closing fees. So did they really buy that property from you at $490 or did they buy it from you at $500? Okay, you got to ask these questions. Also, now there's a cost associated with that $490,000. Hard money. What's their monthly payment? Oh my gosh, did they really buy this for $490? No, they ended up buying it for about $540 with all the holding costs associated. So if you're not putting these things in and the reason why you're not putting those numbers in is because you don't have an actual buyer you're talking to that will say, I've got hard money at 10% and 2 points and our crews are fast. I can go as high as 78% because I'm really well capitalized. What you do is you put yourself in a situation of I'm doing 70%, perfect, that's a deal. Seller's willing to move forward at that number. I lock them up in a contract. You then go out and you then start marketing it to buyers and your buyers are like, you're up in the night. You should have asked us before. It's like, Bobby, if you were gonna go make a t-shirt company, would you just make a bunch of XLs?
Yeah, no.
No, you go out and do market research and you find out, if I'm in Missouri, you're making triple XLs. Okay, if I'm in another state, Hollywood, California, I'm making smalls and mediums. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, do the market research, have the conversation with the buyer, This is why working with Jamil for all these years has been so beneficial, is because when I go on an appointment, I go, what's my MAO? If I use the 70% rule every single time, half of my deals would fall apart, or they would never even formulate it at all. Right?
And also, in condition and what part of the country you're in is hugely important in that question. It's entirely dependent on whether this is a cosmetic remodel, a full gut remodel, and whether you're in Kansas City or in Phoenix, Arizona.
So let's re-ask that question, okay? Let's reiterate that question in the exact same words he used, okay?
When
But
determining your L, you're going to do it.
I'm gonna do it. Here's the question he's asking. Hey, Bobby, I'm gonna start a t-shirt company next week. What sizes of shirts should I print before I go out and start selling? And you go, I don't know. What's your market? What's your demographic?
Yeah.
What color shirt are they wearing? What does it say on it? Does it say cowboys are amazing, but you're trying to sell these in the Hollywood Hills? Like, have you done your research? Literally, that's what they're asking. What size shirt should I make if I go start a t-shirt company without doing any market research of what my customer wants?
So the practical advice to David would be to talk to your buyer and then
Talk to a buyer, talk to a Keegley, get an understanding of like what percentage they're seeing the majority of their deals, evaluate condition, is this cosmetic, is this full gut, and then know what average percentage you need to be at. Just keep those things in mind. Have conversations. See, what Pace is saying is communicate. Either talk to your cash buyer, talk to a Keegley, talk to a dispo house, talk to somebody in that market who understands who could be your potential buyer, because they're going to direct you.
So here, one of the reasons I became, in my not even my opinion, it's facts. I was top 0.05% best closers in the nation for home investors. There's 1,100 of us. I was like top 3. Okay. The reason for that is because I never went in thinking about MAO. What I thought about was, hey Jamil, I've got an appointment tomorrow at 123 Main Street. What's the maximum amount that you can sell? What could you sell this to a buyer for? Jamil go, hold on, let me talk to a couple of our buyers. Okay, you're good at 200. Anything under 200, we're making money.
nice.
So what did that give me? It didn't give me a purchase price. It gave me freaking confidence.
Yeah.
So when the seller says, I'm good at 220, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I got to get this under 200 or walk away from the appointment and follow up. What I see a lot of people do is they come in, there's a ratio. 10 contracts get signed by a new wholesaler. How many of those are going to the finish line?
10. Oh, you're going to go to the finish line?
Yeah.
None.
Maybe one if they're lucky.
Maybe
one. The difference, and that wholesalers watch YouTube University, they've got the MAO thing in their mind, and they're going out and getting 10 contracts, they can't sell one. You know how many times, like even Robin Hurt, who I'm going and moving to Tacoma, Washington for, last night on Wholesale Hotline, I go, Robin Hurt, who's never done a deal before, she comes in and corrects me in the comments. She goes, no, I've gotten 2 houses under contract, but they didn't sell. It is a common problem, and everybody's following MAO that's doing that.
So is there
That's why I've had the biggest problem with it. It's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible, yeah.
So Fogtown King says, but people say don't call buyers if you don't have a property under contract.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Absolutely incorrect. If you have a wholesaler that is saying don't call me until you have a house, then is that somebody you want to be a friend with? What I tell people is my cash buyers, if I called any one of them right now, they'd tell me who they were on a date with last night. Hey, let's go to dinner next week. Like, my cash buyers are my friends. Mm-hmm. And we make money together. We watch out for each other's backs. Jamil is one of my biggest cash buyers. I go, hey man, what do you think about this? Hey, Pace, like, what's going on in this neighborhood right now? We're seeing a lot of X, Y, and Z. You got to offer 40 grand lower than you think because this is what's going on. I don't want to put that in my brain. I want to just go get the contract. So if you get buyers should become your friends and your backstop. Like, I'm good at 200 sight unseen. Great, perfect. And if a buyer tells you, hey man, don't call me until you have an address, do yourself a favor, block that person from your phone and never call them ever again, even if you do get an address.
Yeah, they're not nice.
They suck.
Right. What would you do if the agent's getting impatient because your buyer doesn't respond right away? That's a specific situation.
What if your agent is getting impatient because the buyer doesn't respond right away? So first, there's so much going on in that statement. Like, first of all, why does your agent know anything about your buyer? I want to know what relationship is happening over there. Is it the agent's buyer? Did you tell the agent you're wholesaling? Like, what is happening and secondly, are you telling your agent, hey, I need to see the property, and then trying to make an appointment, and then now you can't get a hold of your buyer? If you can't get a hold of your buyer is not your buyer. When your buyers ghost you, that's just no.
Bro, when you got a buyer on the line, they are hunting you down. Send me the contract. Send me, because they're deathly worried that you're trying to sell it to somebody else on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't get a hold of your buyer, you don't have a buyer.
Sorry, man, I was in a movie.
Yeah.
No, that's not how this works. Like, if you're a cash buyer, I will step out of anything but my wife giving birth. That's the only thing I won't step out of.
I think you did step out of her.
She had already given birth.
Okay.
She was.
And then he took a home investor's call.
I did.
Yeah.
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning or some crazy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We buy houses.
I know that this might be interesting because you guys might have different opinions. What's your perspective on saving cash as reserves?
Oh, we 100% have different opinions of this. Here's the thing about this, and we will have different opinions. There is no perfect strategy for investing in real estate. At the end of the day, here's what you do. Spend less money than what you make, okay, and put your money. Jamil puts his money, Jamil, at one of his best investments, I freaking love it, one of his best investments, he takes his money and he gives it to a hard money lender who's prolific hard money lender, and they pay him a monthly return. You know what's great about that? No tenants, no toilets, no trash.
Yep, nothing.
No evictions, no nothing.
And I liquidate in 30 days. So I'm buying the building with Pace. They've got $500,000 of mine right now. I was like, hey, I need that money back. Boom, gets wired back to me. I get to go buy the building. So I make 10% on my money, or it's deployed.
Yeah, and I'm different. I would never do that for one thing, because it's not fun. I want tenants, toilets, and trash. I want to deal with the things. I also am so in love with learning the whole process of owning and dealing with the crap on the back end. Jamil's a couple of years older than me, so you've done this.
Yep.
Like, you liquidated an entire Airbnb portfolio. Like, you've lived that life. For me, I was a contractor for 10 years, and so I was so curious of what happens on the back end of, like, okay, so I'm renovating the house and then this person turns it into an Airbnb. What does that world look like? That I'm just having fun, right? And for me, Jamil he also was in real estate in the last crash. And so for Jamil, the safest investment, and I agree with this, is taking your cash, letting somebody else who's very smart to go lend that money to other people. It's a great strategy. For me, I had one of the best months of my life 2 months ago. At the end of the month, I had $1,700 in my bank account because I had purchased, I used all the money for real estate.
Nice.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Jamil's eating the same prime rib that I am at night. Jamil's driving as nice or nicer cars than me. When we pull up to the house, Ryan, did you pull up and go, man, this guy looks like he's poor?
Definitely not.
He's like, wait, what? Who lives here? You know? So there's no stress. At the end of the day, what did Dave Chappelle say when he got his $50 million? He goes, I realized
I'm rich, bitch!
He did say that. He said it was really interesting. After a certain dollar amount, you don't live any better life.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even the guys that are billionaires are eating in the same restaurants as the millionaires.
True.
And so it's whatever you feel safe with and you're excited about. And so I never criticize Jamil's strategy. I just say, that's not for me. And then Jamil says, what Pace does is not for me either. You got to find out what is for you and follow that path.
All right, one last one. This should be easy. How do you wholesale apartments?
Oh, this is a good one.
You don't. No, I'm kidding. Same way you would wholesale a house. But it's different for large multifamily than it's going to be for anything 8 units or less. 8 units or less, you're going to find you can put the property under contract the same way you would a single family resident. The earnest money is going to be easy to come up with, or at least manageable. When you're dealing with large apartments like the building that we're doing right now, the 53 unit, I mean, guys, we had to sign an LOI. We had to come in with
What's an LOI?
Letter of intent. We had to do a $250,000 non-refundable earnest deposit sent to title before a purchase contract was signed. Okay? Then we got to walk the house. You ain't wholesaling that, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
I had to come in $250,000 hard before I even got the contract on that property. How the hell would I wholesale that? Hard. Right? You don't.
No, and you know, there's a world here where people say, well, should I start with single family or multifamily? Guys, everybody you know, Grant Cardone, everybody you know that are like prolific, even Tim Bratz, who I'm speaking at his event next week in Denver, he says, I love multifamily way more than I love single family. But where did he start?
Single family.
Because you don't have to do the things in single family, like letter of intent. There's wholesalers that have been wholesaling for 4 years that don't know what an LOI is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when you get into multifamily, it's another layer. So you got to have an LOI. Why is that important?
Well, it expresses your interest and it's non-binding. Oh my God, what a waste of time. When I go through this process, I'm like, why are we doing this? It's like a dance. It's like, you know, if you ever watch that Netflix series, The Bridgertons, and they're all like, like, hey, let's just dance around each other. That's a fucking commercial deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's all sit down and let's have intent that we're gonna do a deal. I intend to do a deal. Do you intend to do a deal? Yes, we intend to do a deal. All right, let's spend an entire week doing that shit.
Yeah.
Then, now that we're there,
Yeah.
it's get naked. Legit, because they're like, wire the money. And you can't get that money back. It's done. That's the world of multifamily and commercial real estate. So please don't try to step into that. If you don't understand how to wholesale single family, multifamily isn't for you yet.
Here's the great thing though, is like the deal, the 53 unit deal, it doesn't mean you can't bring a Jamil or a Pace or somebody else to the
No,
table.
because John Galan is the one who originally got that, started having the conversations, and then ultimately Sophia had to take over because wholesalers tried to get in the middle of it.
Right.
This whole deal came to us because wholesalers effed it up.
Thank you, wholesalers.
Yes, because they were trying to shop a deal they didn't have a contract on, they didn't have communication with the agent on, they knew nothing about it. The building was available for $12.5 million, and do you want to know what it got sent to me at?
16 million.
13.7.
So $1.2 million assignment fee.
That's what without even having a contract on the property. Okay? So what ends up happening is I'm in Las Vegas with you at the Clever Summit, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I get Sophia on a Zoom call with who was supposed to be the listing broker of the property. Okay? It wasn't the listing broker of the property. It's like that meme that you always put on your Instagram of, oh my God, it's a cash buyer. No, it's just another wholesaler.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what that was. We show up onto the Zoom. Sophia and I are on the Zoom, and it's a wholesaler. And Sophia says,
you guys had a Scooby-Doo episode
on a Zoom.
Let me unveil you. Oh, you're a wholesaler.
Yes. So Sophia's like, wait, are you a licensed agent? No. Why are you presenting this deal to me? Well, Sophia hit leave. She left the conversation. Then she texts me sends me a text and says, I don't have time to jerk these people off this morning. You can finish. No joke. Okay? So guys, I'm telling you, this is what happens in the world of multifamily if you try to get in there and do it. It's embarrassing. Please don't. Okay? Start and learn the things you need to learn and the places that you need to learn. Like, look, small multifamily, you can wholesale like houses. Get really good at that first. Then you can bring a Pace to the table. Then you can bring a Me to the table. Then you can bring a Sophia to the table and go take down a 55 unit, a 53 unit, a 100 unit building. You can do that. Look, I didn't understand how to do a syndication, so what did I do? Participated in one. Right? So I could learn. Mm-hmm. I got involved with Edwin. I'm like, here's $250,000. Show me everything. Mm-hmm. Now I got access to the paperwork. Now I know exactly the player
and the flow
of how it all works.
Oh, then this happens. Oh, and then that. Oh, I didn't
Yes.
know. Like an LOI is interesting too, because an LOI, you are right. It's basically a little dance. But usually the broker receiving the LOI wants to see that you've been approved by a lender.
Yes.
And you have your money already ready.
Or that you're vetted.
You're vetted.
Yep.
And so it's not like I'm just writing up a letter. There's a whole chain of dominoes that had to click over all the way to create that LOI. And so people go, maybe somebody here goes, oh, so I just need to download an LOI from online. No.
No, because it's not binding. You
No.
can't shop a deal because you get an LOI sent out.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything, right? So that's why the process is so much different. It's yes, it can be lucrative, and you could make $1 million or $2 million assignment fee. That's absolutely true. However, there's levels to this, guys, right? There's levels to it. So just let's get really good at the things that we understand. And we're still figuring out how to do this at the level of $12.5 million. We're still working at that, right? So, I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, it's a fun game. It's like, you know how Mario always ends up at like level 9?
Yeah.
Real estate's one of those things. It's like you're just going from one Mario game to another Mario game to another Mario game, and Mario just keeps coming out with new games all the time. So guys, we just get to hang out and play these fun games the rest of our life and play and challenge ourselves to new levels. The levels never end.
No, just don't be a Bowser.
Don't be a Bowser.
We don't need no Bowser.
Is a Bowser?
You know Bowser.
The bad guy.
Of course I know Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser. Don't be Bowser.
I love that. Anything else, Bobby?
No, that's it. So let's thanks for watching.
Later, guys.
End the live and then record an intro on here.
Super fun hanging out with you.
Thank
Pacer.
you guys.
That was good.
Love you. Peace.